Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow warm-hearted souls, welcome to this exhilarating launch of Nurture Horn of Afrique. Tonight, we are gathered here in Portland, Maine, and in spirit, across the landscape of East Africa, in our Nairobi offices, our board and our offices are buzzing with excitement. I must say it's an absolute pleasure to see so many familiar faces, both family and friends, colleagues, and also new friends in this room that I will make after this. I want you to take a moment and give yourselves a round of applause for a second. You're giving yourselves a round of applause for choosing to be here tonight with us. Even though it's a delightful 80 degrees outside and it's pretty hot, but we're still well dressed. You know you're committed when you give up the perfect weather to be here for a good cause. But hey, who needs a beach day when you can create positive waves in this room? So buckle up, because tonight we're embarking on a journey that's bigger than the call and the sun, and more bigger than the powerful than any SPF lotion that you probably use. Let's ignite the energy, embrace the laughter, and get ready to launch the Nurture Horn of Afric Foundation. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Abdullahi Ali, who will be speaking about what Nurture Horn of Afrique is. Abdullahi is a member of Gateway Board of Managers, a founder and CEO of Gateway Community Services. Abdullahi was born in Somalia and raised in Kenya. And he's a refugee, just like all of us in this room. So let's welcome Abdullahi again with another round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Mohammed, for the introduction. I also just want to mention that Mohammed is the president of the board of directors for Nurture Horn of Afrique. I, as Mohammed said, also a member of the board of directors. I'm also the executive director for Nurture Horn of Afrique. I would also like to take a moment to thank you all for being here tonight and for sharing this joyful moment with all of us. Nurture Horn of Afrique is a non-profit organization that was founded to improve the living conditions for the people in East Africa, also referred as to Horn of Africa. The countries that the organization is going to work in include Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, Rwanda, and Burundi. We currently have an office, our main office in that region in Nairobi, Kenya. We have approved also to operate in Somalia. And we are in the process of also being registered to operate in Ethiopia. People might ask, what is the vision of Nature Horn Afric Foundation? The purpose of this organization, as I mentioned earlier, is to serve, to uplift the conditions of people in the countries that I have just listed. I am a refugee, as Mohammed said. I have lived in a refugee camp for over 20 years. I have lived in one of the countries that Nature Horn Afric is going to work in. Being a refugee, coming from that region, and going back, traveling, seeing the conditions that the people in those countries live in, myself and my fellow board members and friends had no option but to respond to the needs that we have seen in the region. We still have friends that we went to school together. Some of them have families, relatives. We have people that are spread all over the different parts of this region. And looking at the conditions that they're living in, we have realized that we cannot solve all the problems, but we can address some of the needs. Some of the areas that we specifically decided to focus on are the areas of healthcare, education, water, and sanitation. We are specifically going to provide services to young people who have graduated from secondary schools in these countries, coming from poor, vulnerable members of the society, so that they can afford to go to college. We have created a program to provide tuition for those young people so that they can go to 4-year or 2 years college. One of the other programs within the education sector that we will do is also help build classrooms for kids in the rural areas in the Horn of Africa. Mostly the folks in those rural areas do not have places to go to learn. Even when there could be folks within those communities who can teach those students, they don't have schools. So what Nature Horn Afric will do is build classes, help with training teachers, and hand over those to local communities. In the health sector, Nature Horn Afric will partner with local organizations, local government, to improve existing health care centers, but also to train healthcare professionals and provide healthcare tools and equipment. We will also provide trainings to those working in maternity centers. We will support to provide transportations to and from health centers. Many of these folks in these communities live far away from the healthcare centers with no available transportations. So we're working closely with other partners, local organizations, governments. We will be supporting and providing healthcare emergency transportation to those who are in need. On the area of water and sanitation, we will also be partnering with local government and local organizations to provide water access. One of the activities that Nature on Afric will be involved is drilling poles in some of those rural areas and equipping them, training professionals that will maintain those facilities. These are only a small response to the need in and within those communities. We are not today or in the future trying to solve all the problems, but we are trying to respond to a need within those populations. Today is Nature on Afric Foundation's launch. This is our first. I don't want to call this a party, but this is a celebration. This is our first community meeting so that you can learn about the work that this organization will do. And the reason why we chose to do this today is so that you can learn about our work, what we do, but most importantly, also think of ways that you can get involved and you can support. There's so many ways that members of our community here and those who are not here today can support our work. You can volunteer. Showing up here today, taking your time with us is a step towards that. It's a very important step. And we thank you for coming here and spending the time with us. One of the things that you can do is talk to your friends. Tell them about our work and what we do. Share our website with them. Invite them to be involved. Ask them to give us donations. That can be in monetary form. It can also be done in volunteering with us, traveling, for example, in the summer, spending some time in Africa, in East Africa. Medical professionals, teachers, and other trained professionals can volunteer their time to support communities in those countries. One of the ways you can give back is also, talk to local organizations and ask them to help us with medical supplies, school supplies, water and sanitation related supplies. Nature on Afric, as a non-profit organization, will be able to transport this to local communities in East Africa that need those supplies. There's so many other ways you can support, you can show love, but if you ever have any questions on how and when to get involved, please reach out to us. You can always find us on social media. You can find us online on our website, and you can always call folks and reach out to members of our board, many of them here tonight. If you have any comments, any feedback that you would like to give us to improve what we do, how we do, we will also love to hear that. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate your time, and I'm gonna give the mic back to Mohammed. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Dr. Ahmed, Assistant Principal of Portland Schools, member of the Muslim community here in Maine. Dr. Ahmed, I'm just calling him a doctor, but he actually earned his doctorate. After you do that, Warner. All right, So now I'd like to invite Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed is the Assistant Superintendent of Portland Schools here in Maine. He is a member of the Muslim community as well. He earned his doctorate in education leadership at the University of Maine, where he conducted his dissertation research on refugees. He got his master's in education from the University of Southern Maine as well. So without further ado, Dr. Ahmed, please come up here.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Muhammad, and thank you, Abdullahi. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight here. You know, according to the Islamic religion, all the gatherings or coming together, the most beneficial, that the ones that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves are the ones when we come together, we talk about charity, doing something good for others. And the ones when we talk about bringing people together. إِلَّا مَنْ أَمَرَ بِصَدَقَةٍ أَوْ إِصْلَاحٍ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. So tonight we are here together, and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are talking about how we support others. And when the first time Abdullahi mentioned to me about the idea of starting this project, I had reflections. I grew up in Somalia, in Mogadishu, and raised by a single mother with really limited or scarce resources. My mother used to sell things on the streets, and at the time that things are not allowed actually to sell things on the streets. So people called municipal police or municipio, they will come and confiscate the goods, and at times they will whip the people who are selling on the streets because they we're not paying taxes. So growing up in that condition, and in the schools, there were requirements to have uniforms. So as young people, we outgrow, or at times we play in the schools and our uniforms will rip and our shoes will break. And next year you need another set of uniforms, pants and shirts. So when we could not buy things, and my pants, I do remember, ripped from the back, I used to go before the other students and sit because I don't want them to see me. And children, young people are sometimes merciless. They pick on each other. So, and I wasn't alone. It was very hard for most of us. So when Abdullah told me about doing this and helping others, it really immediately came to my mind how many kids who need uniforms, how many people who need something to eat, how many single mothers are raising young ones in the refugee camps. So immediately I said, yes, why not? Let's do it. Let's work together. And forwarding and coming in as a teenager after the war started, I spent about 10 years in refugee camps and as a refugee in Pakistan. And this is what I want to share with you. I was enlisted under protection of the UNHCR, and they used to give us less than $20 for a whole month, but that was enough. I went to school, and that was what I used to survive with. So that tells you that at times when we are in here, we pay and we buy this coffee with $5. Some of us actually pay more than that, $7, like Muhammad. So, what happens, only $1 will be enough for someone. Imagine here, just paying a day $1 and a month $30 to someone, really makes a difference. So those of us who are thinking about, I'm not rich, I don't have a big company to pay a lot of money, just think about paying $1 a day, and really it makes a difference in the lives of others. And it will make people go to school, young ones go to school and have food and to eat. So I want to, and talking about this as Muslims, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Khayrukum anfa'ukum linnas." The best amongst you are the ones who benefit others. So the best amongst you, amongst us, are not the ones who pray so much and go to the mosque 24/7 and stay there. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, to help someone is much better than praying 1 month in the haram, in Mecca. Staying there and doing i'tikaf, staying all and worshipping Allah. So helping others is very important, my dear brothers and sisters. And do not worry about how much. The time, there is a lot of people who were paying charity. And the Prophet was accepting the charity to give to others. And people are bringing loads of camels. And there is a man who didn't have enough. And he worked 1 day, 2 days. And he get a small, 1 pound of, close to 1 pound of dates. And he brought to the Prophet and he said, that's all I can afford. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this is really big. And this is, he called juhd al-muqil. The hard work of someone who doesn't have. And that is very important. If I have $10 million and I pay 1 million, it's not that important. But if I have $10 and I pay 5, that 5 is better than 1 million from someone who has 10 million. If I have 10 and I pay 5, that 5 is more important and more barakah and blessing. So I want you to think that asset kind of mindset, that whatever we have, just let's do it and help this project stand up. And let's not wait about the donors. Let's just do it by ourselves, because we can together if we do it. So I know I'm taking more the time that was allocated to me. Muhammad is looking at me, but I want to leave this with you, that this is what we can do. Just think about $1 a day, and let's do it together. Yes, we can do it, and let's make the lives of others some difference, because they are waiting for us. And Jazakumullah khair, Abdullah and Muhammad, and for others for standing up. And thank you very much for all of you for coming together here. Thank you.
And without further ado, I'd like to invite Yusuf up here. Portland School Board member and a passionate advocate for many things.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for inviting me. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. It's an amazing event, and just make a round of applause to everybody who participate putting this thing together, and thank you. I really wasn't prepared to do a speech, but I think I just remember a poem by Dr. Maya Angelou. If a human being, I am a human being. Nothing is alien to me. If a human being dares to become greater than the environment into which he or she was born, so can we. If a human being dares to dream a great dream, dares to love someone, tonight we are here to celebrate this amazing organization that will help people who are in the most need, the people who we left them in the refugee camps and in a situation that they struggle every day. Abdullahi, thank you so much. You are a dreamer. You are not only thinking about to elevate and help the youth and the community here in the United States, but you also have in mind where you came from. And if it's not where you came from, you would not be where you are today. So thank you for putting this effort together, making that initial brave and brilliant, smart way to put things together and to give us the opportunity as a community to share and participate and be part of this amazing job. So thank you so much. I know what it means to be in a refugee. I was a refugee and I came to the United States from a refugee, and it's really, you don't have any opportunities or something that you believe that one day it will be getting better. So having someone that knows you, who used to live in the same community, now initiating another support for you, this is amazing. This is really something that is a role model. You are a role model, Abdullahi. A lot of kids are, and a lot of youth are just looking up to you, making sure that they not only build themselves and grow here, but also to give back to the community here and back home. So thank you so much, and thank you all for coming. Salam alaikum.
And now I'd like to invite Raqiya Ibrahim. She's been fighting the good fight for a very, very long time. She initially started studying law in Kenya and recently graduated from Harvard University. So without further ado, Raqiya, if you could come up, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to the rest of us who are not Muslims. My name is Raqiya Ibrahim. I'm Kenyan. I'm sorry, to some extent I may not relate to the impact and the effects of being a refugee and having settled here. But as you know, Somalis live in different borders. We live in Kenya, we live in Somalia, we live in Ethiopia, we live in Djibouti. So basically we share borders, and those are our people and those are our families. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and all other superior courts as we identify ourselves, and recently graduated from Harvard Law School. Abdullahi, Mohammed, and the rest who are serving as the board members who have founded this organization, I thank you. I thank you for humanity. I thank you for the rest of us all over wherever we are in this world. Thank you so much for trying to do something for the people back at home. It's said that to whom much is given, much is expected, much is required. And I, for one, I am in that category that much is expected. Not everybody makes to an Ivy League school to where I am. I was representing Kenya and the entire Eastern Africa. And thank you for the challenge. Thank you for opening up our minds and our eyes. It's time to give back. It's time to help others be whoever they can be. One much issue that I would like to speak of is education. Education is very important. It's said that the best way to get rid of poverty is through education. That's where we are. And the good program that they have here where they're providing scholarships, I am a beneficiary of a scholarship through the UNICEF Foundation. It's a UN organization that basically supports people who complete primary schooling to high school. And you know that as the Somalis, we have a number of kids, and it becomes an issue sometimes for our parents to take us through some of the best schools. And these are organizations that helped those of us who are bright enough to get somewhere, to get to good schools. And I can tell you today, I'm a living testimony to have met a good school, to have graduated from a good place, and to have a good profession to call it my own, and to help support the rest. So this good beneficiary, it's a good thing that they have done. Thank you so much for everyone who decided to come and who is here with us. And thank you for the challenge. I'm here to give back, be it as a volunteer, be it as a donor, be it whatever you want me to be. Thank you so much.
Have Tarlin. He's a former director of Office of Maine Refugee Services. He is from, I don't want to butcher the country name, I'm sorry. But you can speak on behalf of that. I still won't try. But Tarlin, please come up here and let the audience know who you are.
Salam alaikum. My sister, my brothers, my fellow friends. Thank you, Abdullahi, to give me this podium. Of course, I'm not ready to give a big speech or something, but I wanted to tell you that, yes, I'm from Azerbaijan. That's the country of origin. I came here 20 years ago, actually. This is year of 20 years. And then I had a fortune and privilege to serve to refugees. 19 years, and still I'm working, doing my all the best to support. But education is really important. Important than anything. What other things? Because when people educated, and I saw through my work experience, when refugees are educated, they come. For them, integration in this country is much, much easier than for someone who comes without education. So I'm so proud, and I'm so speechless how Abdullahi and friends decided to have this really important cause, because that will really change and impact the life of the people. Because we're all working for the betterment of the world. And the betterment of the world will start from us, from the small steps we're going to take here and in Africa. And I think this is a wonderful, wonderful idea. We're all going to support with all communities. And there is no small or big donations or contributions. Every penny is counted. As Dr. Ahmed said, in front of the God in eyes, you've been a millionaire or you've been like a $5 owner. Important thing is your intention. Is this intention have a purity of your heart? If you have a purity of your heart, you're going to sacrifice. And in all the books of the God, it's everywhere said, you have to sacrifice. So when it's going to make you feel your sacrifice, then your sacrifice is accepted. Not just giving $1 million, okay for me. No. It's like $1 or $5 or $10 is really important for you. So I just wanted to call to all of us. And just say, look at us actually here. We're all immigrants who came here mostly, 99% maybe less or more. And our kids, who born here. We should be very proud of what we have done and what we're going to do for others to strive. So please, 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 give the money.
And now I'd like to invite Mohammed Hassan. He is the president of the Board of Somali Community Center of Maine here. Mohammed, please come up.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to speak. Like the majority of the people who spoke before me, I'll hold it here, okay. I am from that region as well. And actually, like Abdullahi and Yusuf and the other Abdullahi passed through refugee camps in East Africa as well. So we all know the need. The need is there. It's great. The need is really great. And the resources in that region is very scarce. And the reality of the matter is we're not strangers to fundraising for drought and refugees and problems in East Africa. But it's the first time actually we hold a fundraising outside of the masjid. We usually go to the masjid to fundraise for those folks, for people back home. But we also contribute individually to our families and communities. But fortunately, Dr. Ahmed brought the masjid to the Heritage Center today. So basically we get the same message as we hear in the masjid, to do your best to contribute, and this is a really highly regarded duty and ibadah towards Allah, as well as contributing to your fellow human being who is in need. Dr. Ahmed's speech was very touching, so we should not only be thinking of sending few, just dollars, but also maybe let's pull some of those spare jeans pants that we don't often wear and send them back home, so that we can help maybe some of those kids, like Dr. Ahmed said, who might have torn pants and stuff like that. It's actually also very new to me to see an effort. We have had a non-profit organization established here before. We have had non-profit organizations that are based elsewhere in the U.S. come through Portland and fundraise among us. But we haven't had a non-profit organization that's geared towards the entire region, Horn Africa. So that's really very ambitious project to launch, to say that you are trying to help not only Somalia, but also the entire region, Kenya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Rwanda. So I applaud Abdullahi for his courage. Trailblazer Abdullahi, thank you very much. And I encourage every one of you to participate the best you can. And haddaan af Soomaali ku yiraahdo dee ha laga qayb qaato. Kolley waxaan ismaba weydiin baan u malaynayaa in af Soomaali lagu hadlana way ahayd. Gobolkii waan ka wada nimid, baahidii waynu ognahay. Wixii dadku haysteen aad bay u yar yihiin waynu ognahay. Kulligeen wax waan dirnaa oo maanta xoolo wixii jeebkeena si kolboxka laynoo taagay oo laynu soo wada wacaa. Laakiin xoog la isu geeyay baa wax kala baxsan ka fiican inta badan markaad eegto. Baahiyaha kuwaad u direysay oo ku ag jooga laftoodii xaq bay kugu leeyihiin. Marka dadaalka sidoo kale Abdullahi uu muujiyay la garab istaago waa geesinimo. Dad Portland ka tagay oo siyaasadda noo galay way jiraan oo xafiis fadhiya. Dad Portland ka tagay oo intay urur sameeyeen xoolo naga qaadeen geeya hadda hore imaynaan arag. Hay'ado kale oo gobollo kale ka yimid baan soo mari jiray. Marka waxaan leeyahay khayr Allah idin siiyo garab istaaga Abdullahi. Wad mahadsantiin intiina ka soo qayb gashay. وأنا السلام يا بارك الله فيكم.
Now I'd like to invite Ikhlas Ahmed, originally from Sudan, graduated from the University of Maine Systems with a Bachelor's of International Studies and Master's in Education, an advocate in the community for a decade or more, works at Gateway Community Services, and owns a non-profit organization, Chance to Advance. So Ikhlas, without further ado, please come up.
My senior year, my professor asked me a simple question. He said, "Who are you? Who are you?" It was a class project. We were about to graduate, and he said, "Who are you?" And for the longest time, I thought I knew myself. I thought I knew how to answer that question and how to say, I am this. But I struggled. I struggled so much to tell him who I was because I was so disconnected. I didn't know what it meant to be Sudanese American. I didn't know what it meant to be Muslim American. I didn't know how to define myself. And that simple question actually took me all the way back home. I bought a ticket. I helped my parents find more money so we can bring my whole family to Sudan. And it's a feeling that you cannot describe. They usually say when you are home, you know you are home. So when I landed in the airport in Khartoum, I just knew that I was home. I knew that I was from Sudan. I knew that my mother did the right thing by bringing us back to Sudan. I spent my time there connecting with my grandmother, my aunties, my uncles. But the most important thing that kind of helped me connect to my roots was visiting the schools in my neighborhood of Al-Haj Yusuf. I got to go see how a classroom was filled with 60 students, 70 students, and one teacher. A classroom that was super hot, but students were still coming to it every single morning. That story and those images could never leave me. They're a part of who I am. I am from Sudan. And when I came back to the US, I knew that I want to continue changing the ways of school system, especially for women and for girls in Sudan. And I went back to my teacher, and he said to me, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you're connecting to who you were. And he said, I am glad that word that I asked you encouraged you. So that's what I like to talk about, encouragement. The word encouragement took me all the way back home to Sudan, to find my roots, to have love for education. And now, coming back to the US, I have earned a master's in education. But the word encouragement goes to this organization we're supporting today. I think one thing we lack as Africans is to believe in that word and to believe in its power. When we encourage each other, we can go a very long way. We can support not just the Horn of Africa, but we can support the entire Africa. And I have used that word every day here in the US, in my work at Gateway. I use that encouragement to support me in my community engagement as an executive director. I'm using it right now because you can tell I'm nervous. You can hear my voice shaking. But I'm using those encouragement that my teacher taught me. It's okay to struggle and to be brave, but it's really important to tell your story. So let's continue telling the real story of our people back home in all the countries that Abdullahi mentioned earlier, and use it to build this new organization that just needs us to believe in it. So I'll stop here before I cry, because I do that a lot. So thank you, and thank you to all the girls in the back over there for doing an incredible job organizing this, and for all of you for being here. So shukran.
And now I'd like to have Sam Hansen. Sam is the Director of Operations at Gateway Community Services. She is the Vice President of the board, Nurture Horn of Afric, both here in the US and in Kenya as well. So Sam, please come up.
Thank you. It's so nice to see everybody's faces, some familiar, some new. And I would also like to thank Abdullahi for just being the man that he is here. Starting not only one nonprofit, but another one. And that's the one that we are celebrating tonight. And I have been very fortunate to have worked with Abdullahi and been able to go to Kenya myself. So I was really fortunate to be there, to see how beautiful it was. Growing up, I was not as fortunate as some people were to be able to travel places, to go and see new things. And I've always been curious about new cultures and languages. In my bachelor's degree, I learned a whole bunch of languages and studied all sorts of things. And also growing up, my father taught me, he was like, give no matter what. Because even though we're not fortunate, there are people that are less fortunate. And that is why having nonprofits and donating money and helping the people that are maybe a little less fortunate than we are right now is an important thing for us to have here. And also all of the different programs that we'll be having, you know, the education and all of these things are so important to the lives of everybody. Right? We're all trying to do better, to be better, and to live a happy life. And to do that, we need the basics and the necessities that this organization will help provide for us. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who put this together. You did an amazing job. And thank you, Abdullahi.